famine. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Rushan Fuad. Member of the Presidential Leadership Council, Othman Majalli, accused the Houthis of carrying out aggressive military moves in preparation for launching attacks inside and outside the country. This came during his meeting with the U.S. Ambassador to Yemen, Stephen Fagan. More on this is within this report.
Member of the Yemeni Presidential Leadership Council, Othman Majalli, accused the Houthi rebels of carrying out aggressive military moves in preparation for launching attacks inside and outside the country. During his meeting in the Saudi capital Riyadh with the U.S. Ambassador to Yemen, Stephen Fagan, Majalli said the information indicated that there are aggressive military moves by the Houthi militia in preparation for war. He pointed out that the Houthi militia is working to transfer large quantities of heavy weapons between the fronts, recruiting children in summer camps, working at a high pace to dig camouflage trenches, and developing military sites and missile launchers to launch its aggressive attacks at home and abroad, including targeting the maritime navigation routes. Such actions and moves, Majalli stated, carry out escalatory nature at a time when the United Nations Special Envoy Hans Granberg, the U.S. Envoy Tim Linderking, and the international community are making relentless efforts to establish peace in Yemen. Days ago, the leader of the Houthis, Abdul Malik al-Houthi, threatened to continue to prevent the export of oil and to take military action to implement it. Al-Houthi warned foreign companies not to enter into any contracts with the government. With regard to the negotiations with the government mediated by Muscat, Al-Houthi said the militia cannot continue indefinitely while others think they are buying time. About 8 months ago, oil exports stopped due to attacks launched by the Houthi rebels on a number of oil ports in the government-held territories, which greatly affected the economy. Hopes for peace have been rising among the Yemenis since Saudi Arabia and Iran signed an agreement to restore diplomatic relations, ending a 7-year estrangement.
The government welcomed decision by the Arab League to prepare for an Arab International Conference to support Yemen. The Council of Ministers approved the formation of a committee headed by the Ministry of Finance to follow up the implementation of the Economic and Monetary Reform Program. Ma'in Abdul Malik stated that the government lacks the needed resources to address vital public services. He added that the government's dependence on support from allies or friends to uphold economic stability. The following report gives more details.
The Yemeni government has suffered significant financial losses due to Houthi attacks on oil export ports since October of last year, resulting in depletion of a crucial revenue stream for public services and salaries. In a recent speech on Tuesday, Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi issued a threat to carry out further attacks against vital targets in liberated areas. And on Wednesday, the Yemeni government acknowledged a critical lack of resources to address crucial expenses, highlighting its dependence on support from allies to uphold economic stability, and that was during a cabinet meeting in Aden, presided over by the Prime Minister Ma'in Abdul Malik. This coincided with the ongoing deterioration of the Yemeni rial against hard currencies, as the exchange rate surpasses 1,300 rials per US dollar in liberalized areas. The meeting highlighted the extensive concessions made by the government in the ceasefire and de-escalation process, despite bearing significant economic burdens resulting from the Houthi attacks on oil sector and their continued looting of revenues, as well as the deepening suffering of citizens in areas under their control. According to sources, the cabinet meeting focused on examining the evolving state of affairs and public matters across the nation, encompassing political, military, security, and service-related aspects. It also conducted a thorough assessment of the progress made in implementing decisions concerning diverse issues and priorities within the government's reform program. Simultaneously, the leader of the Houthi group issued a warning of potential reprisal attacks targeting key sectors within liberated areas, including oil export ports. The Prime Minister stated that the government relies on the role of Yemenis friends and partners, with Saudi Arabia and the UAE at the forefront, to provide urgent support in these exceptional circumstances. He established a committee comprising 6 ministers and the central bank to address the challenges, which will oversee the implementation of an extensive economic, financial and monetary reform program. Yemen's critical lack of resources caused by the ongoing economic deterioration urges the government to call on the allies and France to supporting uphold economic stability.
Yemen's representative to the United Nations, Abdullah Al-Saadi, warned of the consequences of depleting the country's economic capacities. During an open discussion in the Security Council, Al-Saadi said that Yemen has lost about $1 billion due to the Houthi attacks on oil ports. He called on the international community to put pressure on the Houthis to stop looting the capabilities of the Yemeni people and targeting vital civilian infrastructure. The Mar Governorate witnesses a widespread disappearance of children from residential neighborhoods. Security and local sources confirmed the disappearance of about 32 children between the ages of 7 and 14 since the beginning of this year. Residents of the Mar accused the Houthi militia of being behind the disappearance of their children, especially when such a disappearance coincides with the launch of the Houthi summer centers. Some Organization for Rights and Freedoms revealed that the Houthi militia has bombed more than 700 homes of its opponents since 2015 until now. The organization called for international criminal action against the rebel militia and the need to bring their members before international justice. More on this story is within this report.
A human rights organization revealed that the Houthi group has bombed more than 700 homes of its opponents since the beginning of the conflict in Yemen in 2014 until now. The SAM Organization for Rights and Liberties said in a series of tweets on its account that the group has committed more than 700 crimes of bombing the homes of its opponents since the beginning of the war. It added that the last crime committed by the group was on Sunday, when it blew up the house of the citizen Abdu Saif, located in the village of Al-Qadma in Makbana district west of Taiz, with an explosive device that led to the complete destruction of the house, in a crime that constitutes collective punishment for all family members, women and children, who are left in the open without shelter. The organization emphasized that the Houthi group's continued bombing of the homes of civilians who violated it is a natural result of the continuation of the policy of impunity, and they called for the need for urgent international criminal action against the group and its members involved in committing these heinous crimes, and bringing them to international justice for their war crimes against humanity. The Houthi militia laced 3 houses with bombs and remotely blew them up in Amran, North Yemen, according to local sources. The Civil Organization for People Impacted by House Bombing said that the Houthi bombing of houses is an organized terrorism the militia exercises against whoever opposes their ideology. The government condemned the terrorist Houthi militia's bombing of homes in Al-Zur district of Sirwah district west of Ma'rib. The Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism condemned in the strongest term the Houthi militia for blowing up the homes of a number of citizens in Al-Zur region of the Sirwah district of Ma'rib Governorate. Houthi violations continue to spread in the country due to lack of international deterrence to such brutal crimes.
The United Nations Children's Fund warned that millions of Yemeni children face the risk of famine. The organization's office in Yemen said that nearly 6 million children in Yemen are only one step away from starvation and they are in dire need of urgent assistance. Earlier this year, the international organization announced the urgent need for $484 million to continue life-saving humanitarian response in the country during 2023. According to the organization, more than 11 million children in Yemen need humanitarian assistance, of whom 2.2 million suffer from acute malnutrition. Coming next. Idala province witnesses spread of diseases amid collapse of healthcare system. Welcome back. The director of Abiyan Electricity Corporation, Mahmoud Makish, warned of a major deterioration in power plants in the city. Makish explained that there is not enough production capacity in the generation stations and that the available energy does not cover the needs of citizens. He pointed out that the major reasons for the deficit in power generation is the failure to provide these stations with sufficient fuel for operation. The Yemeni Ministry of Health said 228 cases of polio have been registered in the country since 2014. The ministry indicated that the war led to a decline in routine immunization in Yemen, which resulted in cases of polio after Yemen got rid of this disease since 2006. According to the ministry, no campaigns have been carried out in the provinces outside the control of the government, which constitute a real threat to the society. Al-Dawla Governorate witnesses the spread of epidemics and diseases amid lack of healthcare services and medical supplies. The following report gives more details.
As garbage builds up in the streets during the rainy season, the country's weak health, water, and sanitation systems have been unable to cope. Congested cities with uncollected waste and congested displaced people's camps with weak sanitation provide a significant danger of transmission. Painful moments show the severity of children's and adults' health and living situations in Al-Dawla. The emergency departments of Al-Dawla Governorate hospitals are seeing a surge in the number of people with febrile illnesses at an alarming pace. Between 150 and 200 patients are admitted each day to Al Salam Governmental Hospital in Qataba, Al-Dawla, which has increasingly been limited by shrinking funds and restrictions on flow of goods in the import-reliant country.
Al-Dawla Governorate has entered its wet season, a time when diseases become more widespread and fevers run high. Other causes behind the spread of illnesses include non-containment of sewage water, waste contamination, and scarcity of hygienic water. Poverty and lack of awareness are the two main reasons we are witnessing such a stark upsurge in cases.
Hospitals in the governorate bear more than their absorptive capacity, and the services provided do not meet the increasing needs of the population in light of internal displacement and associated crowding and malnutrition.
The hospital's pharmacy was short on medicines, so we had to seek treatment elsewhere. The condition of this child is dire.
At a time when the increasing rates of disease, epidemics, and fevers plague citizens, they believe it is necessary to work to end sewage overflow and garbage accumulation. The country's fragile health system is severely overburdened and edging closer to collapse, while international donor funding is insufficient.
The Yemeni government agreed with Algeria to increase the number of scholarships offered to Yemeni students. The two sides agreed to sign a memorandum of understanding in the field of technical education and enforce the protocol of collaboration between the two countries. In Lahj Governorate, torrential rain stopped the traffic on the main road. Local sources said buses carrying passengers and trucks of commercial goods remained stuck since Wednesday evening until Thursday morning due to floods. Sources added that the torrential rains caused great damage to the infrastructure of roads and agricultural lands. Here is a reminder of the main headlines. The Yemeni government accuses the Houthis of preparing for a new round of military escalation. Houthis continue to blow up hundreds of opponents' homes in the areas under their control. The UNICEF says that millions of children in Yemen face the risk of famine. This is the end of the news. It was Roshan Fouad. Thank you for watching.